He reached for the driver's side door when a small voice cut through the silence like a blade. "Don't say anything. Just get in and drive." Marcus froze, his hand still gripping the door handle. The voice had come from inside his car, a child's voice, high-pitched, urgent, and filled with a fear that made his blood run cold. He peered through the tinted windows, and there in the back seat, huddled against the far door, was a little girl, maybe 8 years old, with dark skin and wide eyes that seemed too old for her face. Her clothes were wrinkled, her hair disheveled, and she was trembling. "How did you get in my car?" Marcus whispered, his executive training kicking in as he scanned the parking garage for any signs of danger. The girl pressed herself further into the corner of the seat. "The cleaning lady. She left it unlocked when she finished up here an hour ago. I've been hiding because I heard them talking about you upstairs." Marcus felt his heart rate spike. "Them? Who's them?" "Your business partners. The ones with the fancy suits. They were laughing about tomorrow's meeting." Her voice dropped to barely above a whisper. "They said you won't own anything by the end of the week." The words hit Marcus like a physical blow. Tomorrow's board meeting was supposed to be routine, a simple vote on the new expansion project. His partners, David Chen and Robert Martinez, had assured him it was just a formality. They'd been friends for 15 years, building the company together from nothing. "What exactly did you hear?" Marcus asked, sliding into the driver's seat but keeping his voice low. The girl's eyes darted toward the elevator banks. "They were on the phone with someone, talking about papers you're gonna sign without reading them properly." The tall one with the gray hair said, "You trust them like a stupid puppy dog." Marcus gripped the steering wheel until his knuckles went white. David Chen, his oldest friend, his business partner since college, the man who'd been best man at his wedding. "They said other mean things too," the girl continued, "but my mama always told me not to repeat bad words." "What's your name?" Marcus asked, his mind racing through the implications of what she was telling him. Lily Johnson. "And you're Marcus Thompson because I heard them say your name about 100 times. She hesitated. "Are you gonna call the police on me now?" For the first time in weeks, Marcus felt something other than stress. This child had risked her safety to warn a complete stranger. "No, Lily. In fact, you might have just saved everything I've worked for." Through the rearview mirror, he watched the office lights beginning to dim on the 30th floor. David and Robert were probably finishing up their planning session right now, confident that tomorrow would be the day they finally pushed him out of his own company. "Why did you tell me this?" Marcus asked, starting the engine. "You don't even know me." Lily's voice grew stronger. "Because I know what it feels like when people think you're nothing, when they talk about you like you can't hear them, like you don't matter." Her small hands clenched into fists. "My mama works 3 jobs just so we can eat, and people look at us like we're invisible, but we're not invisible and neither are you." Marcus drove slowly out of the parking garage, his mind processing everything Lily had told him. 15 years of friendship, of building something together, and David and Robert saw him as nothing more than an obstacle to remove. "Where do you live, Lily?" he asked as they emerged onto the busy downtown street. "Different places, sometimes the shelter on 5th Street, sometimes with my cousin when there's room. Depends on the day." She shrugged with a casualness that broke his heart. Marcus pulled into an all-night diner and turned to face her. "Are you hungry?" Lily's eyes lit up for the first time. "I haven't eaten since yesterday morning." 20 minutes later, they sat across from each other in a red vinyl booth, Lily demolishing a cheeseburger and fries, while Marcus pretended to drink his coffee. His phone buzzed with a text from David. "Ready for tomorrow, buddy? The board's going to love our presentation. You're going to retire very wealthy." Marcus showed the screen to Lily, who rolled her eyes. "He's got some nerve, doesn't he? Lying to your face and putting on a happy smile." Another message arrived, this one from Robert. "Marcus, I've reviewed the contracts one final time. Everything looks perfect for signing. Trust us like you always have." The coldness disguised as friendship made Marcus's stomach churn. For 15 years, Robert had been his legal counsel, the man who handled every major contract, every important decision. "They really think you're stupid," Lily observed, wiping ketchup from her fingers. "But you're not, are you?" Marcus smiled grimly. "No, I'm not. And they're about to find out just how wrong they were." His phone rang. David's name flashed on the screen. "Marcus, just wanted to make sure you're resting up. Tomorrow's going to be a big day. Historic, really." "I'm feeling great, David. Can't wait to see how everything unfolds. Perfect. And remember, you don't need to worry about reviewing any of the paperwork. We've handled all the technical stuff. Just show up and sign where Robert tells you to." The arrogance in David's voice was unmistakable. They really believed they had reduced him to a puppet who would simply follow their script. After hanging up, Lily studied his face. "You're planning something, aren't you? Your eyes look different now, like my mama's when she figures out someone's been lying to her." Marcus pulled out his laptop and began typing. "Lily, I need to ask you something important. Would you be willing to help me tomorrow? I know it might be scary, but what you heard tonight could save my company." The girl sat up straighter. "What do you need me to do?" "I need you to tell other people exactly what you heard. Important people who can make sure David and Robert face consequences for what they're planning." Lily nodded without hesitation. "My mama always says when you see someone getting stepped on and you can help, you help. Because next time it might be you." Marcus felt a surge of admiration for this brave child. "There might be some risk involved. Are you sure you want to do this?" "Mr. Marcus," Lily said, her voice filled with determination. "I've been taking risks my whole life just to survive. This is the first time I get to take a risk to help someone else." As Marcus continued typing, pulling up files and documents he'd need for tomorrow, he realized that David and Robert had made a critical error. They'd spent so much time planning his downfall that they'd forgotten the fundamental rule of business: never underestimate your opponent. Tomorrow's board meeting was supposed to be their victory lap. Instead, it would become the beginning of their worst nightmare. Because while they'd been celebrating prematurely, Marcus had found the most unlikely ally possible. And sometimes, the people others dismiss as powerless turn out to be the ones who hold all the real power. The question that remained was simple: would one night be enough to turn the tables completely? Marcus spent the next hour in that diner booth, his laptop screen glowing as he pulled up financial records, email chains, and board meeting minutes from the past 6 months. Lily sat across from him, alternating between finishing her meal and watching the door with the alertness of someone who'd learned early that safety was never guaranteed. "Look at this," Marcus said, turning his laptop toward her. 3 months ago, David recommended we switch our main banking relationship to First National, said they offered better rates. Lily squinted at the screen. "What's wrong with that?" "David's brother-in-law is the vice president at First National, and look at these transfer authorizations." Marcus scrolled through a series of documents. Every major financial decision in the past 6 months required both David and Robert's signatures. They systematically removed me from the approval process. The pieces were falling into place with terrifying clarity. The emergency board meeting they'd called for tomorrow wasn't about expansion. It was about a hostile takeover disguised as a routine vote. "They've been planning this for months," Marcus muttered, his fingers flying across the keyboard. "Maybe years." Lily pushed her empty plate aside and leaned forward. "What are you looking for?" "Evidence. Proof that what you overheard isn't just talk." Marcus pulled up his email archive. "Here, 2 weeks ago, David sent me this message about bringing in new investors. Said it would help us scale faster." He clicked on an attachment. "But look at the fine print in this partnership agreement. The new investors get controlling interest, and I get bought out at a fraction of what the company's actually worth." "That's stealing," Lily said matter-of-factly. "Yes, it is, but they've structured it to look completely legal." Marcus's jaw tightened. "David and Robert know I rarely read the technical details. I've always trusted them to handle the legal complexities." His phone buzzed again, another text from Robert. "Just a reminder that we'll need your signature on about 12 documents tomorrow. I've marked all the signature lines with yellow sticky notes to make it easy for you." Marcus showed Lily the message. She shook her head in disgust. "They really think you're that dumb. They think my trust makes me weak," Marcus replied. "But trust isn't weakness when you know how to verify." He pulled up another file. "Every email David and Robert have sent me in the past year. Every phone call logged through the company system. Every meeting minute where my name was mentioned." For the next 30 minutes, Marcus built a timeline of deception that stretched back 14 months. David recommending they expand too quickly, putting the company in debt. Robert suggesting complex legal structures that gradually diminished Marcus's control. Both of them consistently pushing for decisions that benefited them while weakening his position. They didn't just plan to steal your company, Lily observed, reading over his shoulder. They planned to make you help them do it. Marcus nodded grimly. The perfect crime. Get me to sign away my own business willingly. His phone rang. This time it was Robert. Marcus, I hope you don't mind, but I took the liberty of scheduling the meeting for 8 a.m. instead of 10. The new investors are flying in from Hong Kong, and they need to catch an evening flight back. That's fine, Robert. Whatever works best. Excellent. And Marcus, I know these kinds of meetings can be overwhelming with all the legal jargon. Just remember, David and I have your best interests at heart. We've been friends too long for you to doubt us now. The manipulation was so smooth, so practiced, that Marcus almost admired the technique. Almost. Of course, Robert. I trust you completely. After hanging up, Lily looked at him with new respect. You're a really good liar when you need to be. I prefer to think of it as strategic communication, Marcus replied with a slight smile. But yes, sometimes you have to play the game to win it. He closed his laptop and pulled out his phone again. Now I need to make some calls, starting with my personal attorney, the one David and Robert don't know about. You have a secret lawyer? I have a secret lot of things they don't know about. Marcus scrolled through his contacts. When you build a $100 million company, you learn to have backup plans for your backup plans. He dialed a number. Patricia, it's Marcus Thompson. I know it's late, but I need your help with something urgent. Lily watched as Marcus explained the situation to his attorney, his voice calm and professional despite the circumstances. She'd never seen an adult handle a crisis with such controlled determination. Yes, I need you there tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Conference room A on the 30th floor. And Patricia, bring everything we discussed about corporate fraud documentation. When he hung up, Lily asked, What happens now? Marcus looked at this brave child who'd changed the course of his life in a single evening. Now we go back to my house, and you get a good night's sleep in a real bed. Tomorrow morning, you're going to help me show David and Robert that the biggest mistake they ever made was underestimating both of us. What if they get mad when they realize I told you everything? Marcus's expression hardened. Let them get mad. By the time tomorrow's meeting is over, anger will be the least of their problems. As they left the diner, Lily walking beside him with newfound confidence, Marcus felt something he hadn't experienced in months. Not just determination or anger, but clarity. The fog of betrayal had lifted, revealing the path forward with crystal precision. David and Robert had spent a year orchestrating his downfall. They'd used his trust, his friendship, his own generous nature against him. But they'd made one critical miscalculation. They'd forgotten that the man who built a company from nothing in a one-room apartment was still the same man who could tear down their carefully constructed lies just as efficiently. Tomorrow's meeting would indeed be historic, just not in the way his former partners expected, because sometimes it's giving the best revenge isn't destroying your them exactly what they've earned, delivered with the same precision they used to plan your destruction. And with Lily's testimony as the foundation, Marcus was about to construct the most elegant trap his former friends had ever walked into. The only question remaining was whether they'd realize what was happening before it was too late to stop it. The drive to Marcus's penthouse took 20 minutes through the quiet city streets. Lily pressed her face against the Tesla's window, watching the towering buildings blur past in streaks of light. She'd never been in a car this nice, never felt leather seats this soft, never seen a dashboard that looked like something from a spaceship. Mr. Marcus, she said softly, what's going to happen to me after tomorrow? Marcus glanced at her in the rearview mirror. The question hit him harder than he'd expected. Here was a child who'd risked everything to save his company, and she was worried about being abandoned once her usefulness ended. What do you want to happen, Lily? She was quiet for a long moment. I want to go to school like regular kids. I want to have my own room with books and maybe a desk where I can do homework. I want my mama to not have to work 3 jobs just so we can eat. The simple honesty of her dreams made Marcus's chest tighten. What if I told you that after tomorrow, all of those things could be possible? I'd say you're just being nice because I helped you. Marcus pulled into his building's underground garage and turned to face her. Lily, I'm worth approximately $97 million. After tomorrow, assuming we stop David and Robert, that number will probably double. Do you know what that means? She shook her head. It means I have more money than I could spend in 3 lifetimes. And it means that helping one brilliant little girl and her hardworking mother isn't charity. It's investment in something that actually matters. Lily's eyes widened. You mean that? I mean that. But first, we have to make sure tomorrow goes exactly according to plan. The elevator ride to the 42nd floor was silent, except for the soft hum of machinery. When the doors opened directly into Marcus's penthouse, Lily stepped out and stopped dead in her tracks. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrapped around the entire living space, offering a panoramic view of the city that stretched to the horizon. The furniture looked like it belonged in a magazine, all clean lines and expensive materials. Art that Lily didn't recognize but somehow knew must be important hung on the walls. "This is where you live?" she whispered. "This is where I've been hiding," Marcus replied. "There's a guest bedroom down that hall with its own bathroom. Tomorrow's going to be a long day and you need rest." But Lily wasn't moving. She stood in the center of the living room, slowly turning in a circle, taking in every detail. "My mama cleans offices downtown. She always talks about the fancy places she works, but I never imagined anything like this." Marcus felt a pang of something he couldn't quite name. Guilt, maybe, or recognition of just how vast the gap was between his world and hers. "Lily, can I ask you something?" "Sure. Why aren't you angry? You've been living in shelters, going hungry, watching your mother work herself to exhaustion, and here I am with all this." He gestured around the penthouse. "Most people would hate me for it." Lily considered the question seriously. "My mama says being angry at people for having more than you is like being angry at the rain for being wet. It don't change nothing, and it just makes you miserable." She walked to the window and pressed her palm against the glass. "Besides, you didn't know we needed help before tonight, but now you do." The wisdom in her words stunned him. At 8 years old, this child understood something about human nature that most adults never grasped. "Your mother sounds like a remarkable woman." "She is. She's gonna be so proud when I tell her I helped save someone's company." Lily turned from the window, her expression growing serious. "But what if those men try to hurt us for messing up their plan?" Marcus had been wondering the same thing. David and Robert weren't just unethical, they were criminal. Men who would orchestrate a $97 million theft weren't above intimidation or worse. "That's why tomorrow has to be perfect," he said. "We can't just expose them. We have to destroy their ability to retaliate." He walked to a wall, safe, hidden behind an abstract painting, and entered a 12-digit code. Inside were documents he'd hoped never to need, insurance policies against the very betrayal he was now facing. "What's all that?" Lily asked, watching him pull out manila folders thick with papers. "Evidence, financial records, recorded phone conversations, email backups, witness statements." Marcus spread the documents across his dining room table. "I didn't build a $100 million company by being naive, Lily. I've been documenting everything for years." The files painted a picture of systematic corporate espionage, David's secret meetings with competitors, trying to sell Thomson Tech's proprietary algorithms, Robert's creation of shell companies designed to siphon money from the main business, both men using their positions to gradually transfer company assets into accounts they controlled. "They've been stealing from you for years," Lily observed, looking at bank transfer records. "Yes, but small amounts. Nothing big enough to trigger audits or raise suspicions. They were patient, methodical, building toward tomorrow when they could take everything at once." Marcus pulled out a digital recorder, and this is the insurance policy. Every board meeting for the past 2 years, recorded without their knowledge. He pressed play. David's voice filled the room, tinny but clear. "Marcus is too trusting for his own good. Once we get him out, we can restructure the whole company. Bring in our own people, maximize efficiency." Robert's voice followed. "The beauty is, he'll sign his own termination papers. He trusts us so completely, he won't even read what he's agreeing to." "That's them," Lily said, her voice tight with anger. "Those are the voices I heard tonight." Marcus fast-forwarded through hours of recorded conversations. Plans to undervalue company assets, schemes to manipulate board votes, discussions of how to minimize Marcus's severance package while maximizing their own profits. "They never suspected you were recording?" Corporate boardrooms are supposed to have official recording systems for legal protection. They just didn't know I had a backup system that captured everything including their private conversations before and after meetings. His phone buzzed. A text from David. "Can't sleep either. I keep thinking about tomorrow. It's going to change everything for all of us." Marcus showed Lily the message. "He has no idea how right he is." He typed back, "Just excited to see what the future holds." "You're really calm for someone whose best friends are trying to destroy him," Lily observed. Marcus looked at this child who'd spent 8 years surviving on the streets, who'd risked her safety to warn a stranger, who faced an uncertain future with more courage than most adults could muster. "You know what the difference is between successful people and everyone else, Lily? Money? No. It's that successful people understand that every crisis is also an opportunity. David and Robert think they're taking my company away from me, but what they're actually doing is giving me the chance to build something even better." He gestured toward the documents spread across the table. "All of this evidence, everything they've done, it's going to be worth more than the company they're trying to steal." "How?" "Because tomorrow, I'm not just going to stop them from taking Thompson Tech. I'm going to use their own crimes to launch the biggest corporate fraud lawsuit in the state's history. And when it's over, I'll have their companies, their assets, everything they've built using stolen money." The plan was elegant in its simplicity. Let David and Robert walk into tomorrow's meeting confident in their victory. Allow them to present their fraudulent contracts, to make their false promises, to reveal the full scope of their conspiracy in front of witnesses who could testify in court. Then produce the evidence that would destroy them completely. "They think they're predators," Marcus continued, "but they're actually prey. They just don't know it yet." Lily yawned, exhaustion finally catching up with her. "Mr. Marcus, what if something goes wrong tomorrow?" "Nothing's going to go wrong. You know why?" "Why?" "Because they made the same mistake everyone makes when they underestimate someone. They forgot that the person they're trying to destroy is the same person who built everything they want to take." As he showed Lily to the guest bedroom, Marcus felt a clarity he hadn't experienced in months. Tomorrow wasn't about saving his company. It was about justice. About showing two men who'd betrayed 15 years of friendship that actions have consequences. But more than that, it was about proving to a brave little girl that sometimes the good guys really do win. Because when David and Robert walk, they wouldn't just be facing into that conference room tomorrow morning. The man they'd try, they'd be facing the man they'd to destroy, had accidentally made stronger. The next morning arrived with the kind of crisp autumn air that made the city feel alive with possibility. Marcus woke before dawn, his internal clock refusing to let him oversleep on what would either be the worst or best day of his professional life. In the kitchen, he found Lily already awake, sitting at the breakfast bar with a glass of orange juice, staring out at the sunrise painting the skyline in shades of gold and amber. "Couldn't sleep either?" "Tutuma," he asked, pouring himself coffee from the machine that cost more than most people's monthly rent. "I kept thinking about what you said last night, about how every crisis is an opportunity." She turned to face him, her expression serious beyond her years. "But what if they have lawyers too? What if they prepared for you to fight back?" Marcus smiled, impressed by her strategic thinking. "That's exactly the right question to ask. And yes, they probably do have lawyers. But here's what they don't have." He pulled out his phone and showed her a contact list. "These are the numbers of every major business journalist in the city, every financial reporter who covers corporate fraud, every investigative team that specializes in white-collar crime." Lily's eyes widened as she scrolled through the names. "You're gonna tell the newspapers? I'm gonna do something better than that. I'm gonna give them a story they can't ignore." Marcus pocketed the phone and began preparing breakfast with the efficiency of someone who'd lived alone for years. "David and Robert think this is just about money and corporate control, but they forgot something crucial." "What's that?" "I didn't build Thompson Tech in a vacuum. I built it by helping other people solve problems they couldn't solve themselves. And in the process, I made friends, real friends, people who owe their success to the technology we developed together." He slid a plate of scrambled eggs and toast across the counter to her. "Some of those friends happen to run the biggest companies in the country. Others sit on regulatory boards. A few work for the district attorney's office." Lily took a bite and considered this information. "So when they try to steal your company, they're not just stealing from you." "Exactly. They're stealing from everyone who depends on Thompson Tech's innovations, medical device companies using our algorithms to save lives, environmental groups using our software to track pollution, educational platforms helping kids in underserved communities access quality learning materials. The scope of the betrayal was becoming clearer. David and Robert hadn't just planned to steal a company. They'd planned to disrupt an entire ecosystem of technological innovation that touched thousands of lives. Marcus's phone buzzed. A text from his attorney, Patricia. "I'm in the lobby. Security won't let me up without your authorization." "Perfect timing," Marcus said, typing back his approval. "Lily, are you ready to meet the woman who's going to help us turn this whole situation upside down?" 5 minutes later, Patricia Hernandez stepped out of the elevator, carrying a briefcase that looked like it could survive a nuclear explosion, and an expression that suggested she'd already had 3 cups of coffee and was ready for war. At 58, she'd built her reputation destroying corporate criminals who thought their money made them untouchable. "Marcus," she said, setting down her briefcase with a thud that echoed through the penthouse. "I've been up all night reviewing the materials you sent me. This is either the most elaborate setup I've ever seen, or your business partners are even dumber than I thought possible. Patricia, meet Lily Johnson. She's the one who overheard their conversation last night." Patricia studied Lily with the intensity of someone accustomed to evaluating witnesses. "Young lady, do you understand how important your testimony is going to be?" "Yes, ma'am. I understand that those men tried to steal Mr. Marcus's company, and that's wrong. It's not just wrong, it's criminal. What they're attempting is corporate fraud, conspiracy, breach of fiduciary duty, and about 6 other felonies I can think of off the top of my head." Patricia opened her briefcase and pulled out a stack of legal documents. "Marcus, the evidence you've collected over the past 2 years is extraordinary, but Lily's testimony is what transforms this from a civil dispute into a criminal case." She spread the documents across the dining table, creating a map of legal destruction that would obliterate David and Robert's lives. "Here's how this is going to work. You walk into that meeting at 8 a.m. exactly as they expect. You play the trusting friend right up until the moment they ask you to sign their fraudulent contracts. And then," Marcus asked, "then you spring the trap, but not just on them, on everyone they've been working with. The fake investors from Hong Kong, the shell companies they've created, the banks that have been facilitating their money laundering." Patricia's smile was sharp enough to cut glass. "By the time we're finished, this case is going to redefine how corporate fraud is prosecuted in this state." Lily raised her hand tentatively. "Ms. Patricia, what happens to me during all this?" Patricia's expression softened slightly. "You, young lady, are going to be the star witness in the biggest corporate fraud case this city has seen in decades, and Marcus has already made arrangements to ensure your safety and your future." She pulled out another set of documents. "Witness protection, educational trust fund, housing assistance for you and your mother. By the time this case goes to trial, you'll be set up for success in ways you can't even imagine." Marcus felt something shift in his chest. Yesterday morning, his biggest concern had been a routine board meeting. Now he was orchestrating the downfall of his oldest friends, while simultaneously changing the life of a child who'd shown him more loyalty in one night than they'd shown in 15 years. "There's one more thing," Patricia continued. "The recording devices you've been using in the boardroom. They're going to capture everything that happens this morning. But we're also going to have backup systems in place. Federal agents, undercover journalists, hidden cameras." "Federal agents?" Lily asked, her voice climbing with excitement. Marcus proved that sometimes the most powerful weapon against betrayal isn't revenge. It's justice served with precision. Lily showed us that heroes come in all sizes, and that courage isn't about having everything to gain, but everything to lose. David and Robert learned the hardest lesson of all. When you underestimate someone's character, you reveal your own. The truth always finds a way to surface, especially when delivered by the most unlikely messengers.